has that champion. What's going to fall to the wayside here? Twisted Fate still same as game 2.
Yeah, taking that away from Keen. The Lulu again going to match. No chance OQ will ever become the subject of a true protect the carry composition. Corki banned away. Looks like
Same.
there's no answer. Nothing has really changed so far in this draft. I mean, Apex, they did go for something a little wonky with the double AD carry and the Zed in the mid lane. So we'll be surprised to see if they do it this time.
Kalista.
Yeah, Kalista is now open. Graves and Trundle are going to be the final two.
So, Trundle's the only change from game 2 in terms of bans. Kalista left up, but it's still prioritizing
Oh my gosh,
Nidalee.
the Nidalee! It got through once again. It's instantly picked up and locked in for Kez. Now, Nautilus is still available as well. We saw Xpecial take it last time. We'll see if they prioritize it that highly once again. As Kalista, oh yeah, there's the Xpecial.
That's a great bluff.
Yeah.
That's a great call there because Kalista was only played once by OQ, and he actually favors things like Ezreal over it. Whereas Police, he got to play Kalista three times in his first 3 games, and then he never got it again. And it was all about enabling Xpecial on Alistar and on Trundle. Trundle banned away. I would not be surprised to see Xpecial go for an Alistar here for the composition that Apex are trying to round out with, which just already looks great with those first 2 picks.
Braum is now picked up again. Take that away from Xpecial. And Quinn now locked in for TDK. That could go to Flares, Alex, or OQ. We'll see when they get to their last 2. And we'll see how Apex once again prioritize that counter pick in the mid lane as they look at their next 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to bring up that Quinn could be for OQ. He played it against Ember and went 10-4 and 11 and had a crit build on it. So he actually had sufficient late game damage to destroy things like a Nautilus.
Master Yi being hovered right now. Would be surprising to see that locked in. We'll see what he decides to go for as he's still got 20 seconds left on the clock. Apex are on the back foot coming into this game, but it's not a situation that they haven't been in before. Thresh currently being looked at by Keen for Xpecial, and it looks like a fairly standard composition out of Apex so far. If they do decide to lock these in, with no time left on the clock, they do commit to it. It's going to be Thresh for Xpecial and Rek'Sai for Shrimp, saving that counter pick for Keen, or possibly Chris, depending on where that Nautilus goes.
Exactly. It could be a mid lane for Keen. He did play mid lane Nautilus. And then the top lane as well. Let's see what goes on here for TDK to round out this one, but I do think that Shrimp Rek'Sai, it used to be stronger. Rek'Sai is just not the same champion that she used to be, which is actually funny because she's exactly the same. She hasn't really seen any nerfs. It's just everybody else around her has become just more powerful over time. Competing with a Nidalee, competing with a Gragas is much more difficult. Competing with people who have runic echoes is also something that Rek'Sai struggles at.
So difficult to keep pace with the bonus mobility. You think someone with Rek'Sai would be able to, but
yeah, you have to be really good at that champion and know routes, like Reignover does.
It's going to be Lucian and Maokai now locked in for TDK for their final 2 pickups.
Okay.
OQ, he's played it 2 times in a row. This marks his 3rd for this final game 3. Not final, not yet. We've got at least
it's the final game 3 of Challenge.
It is. Well, until summer. So again, Keen looking at Zed in the mid lane. With Maokai locked in, that means it's probably going to be a Quinn.
Yes. Yeah, it's most likely a Quinn mid lane here. See what Keen goes back to, and he's going to take what Fabi was saying. It's going to be that Azir in the mid lane.
Yeah, Azir locked in, rounds out the composition for Apex. They've got Kalista, they've got Azir, they've got a tanky front line. Apex going back to the basic building blocks.
Yeah, I'm going to run through the composition here for TDK before I jump over to Apex. TDK, Kez once again on that jungler, so despite having double AD carry, you have a magic damage threat. Maokai, classic absorb champion to be able to reduce the damage that everybody else is taking and make a double AD carry composition work, and has percent magic damage HP, percent HP magic damage. So rather good. And then the Braum with double AD carry, pretty typical there. Very reminiscent of the composition that they just had last game. And then jumping over to the side of Apex, lots of wave clear with the Azir. It's so hard to get in on this champion with what has been selected here for TDK. No Sivir anywhere in sight for both of these teams, but the Kalista Thresh. Kalista for Police, comfort champion there for him. Incredibly powerful, and it enables Xpecial on this Thresh, which is a comfort pick for him and something that he's always been very effective on. So this composition overall, tank Nautilus. You have the Rek'Sai, who's probably going to go tank as well, but you have high physical damage threat with Kalista in the mid game, and then you have late game threat and mid game with the Azir.
Yeah, very strong comps from the two of them. Once again, we want to know what you think as we're getting ready to go live. Show the teams your support. Head over to Twitter, give us hashtag TDKWin or hashtag APXWin to @LL Esports, and we'll update the poll shortly as we prepare to load onto the Rift. The series is all tied up at 1-1. It's TDK versus Apex. Everyone comes charging out of the base gates. We didn't see a lot of vision in game number 1 as everyone took defensive lines, but the lane swaps did happen in game number 2. We'll see how that plays out this time around as everyone looks to be starting with defensive lines.
Yep, nobody going for those 5-man invades to make sure that you can actually get vision. Xpecial though? Yeah. Nope.
He's going to be tagged for that. He gets a ward in the bush, but he's going to eat some damage. Oh, Trance. Couldn't get the third auto attack, but he did get 2.
Nope, but that's going to prompt Kez to move up and get a ward on the other side so that Shrimp isn't just completely safe to stand there. Looking at some of the masteries, though, that I'm seeing, APX, he has 5% lifesteal and 2% vamp. So it looks like he didn't go for Warlord's Bloodlust. He went for Doran's Blade plus the offensive tree mastery, and then he has percent penetration. So it looks like it's going to be Fervor here for Alex from what I'm seeing from his stats, as opposed to the Thunderlords in the mid lane.
Yeah, no magic pen.
Yep. And then we see Trance has Strength of Ages, and Xpecial looks like he doesn't have Strength or Bond. So I'm curious to see what Xpecial has taken.
The two teams are going to lane swap, but it is spotted out by Apex.
Yep.
Small Bramblebacks are going to be secured. You got to keep vision of it, though. There it is, finally going to pick it up. OQ actually takes a lot of punishment from the red buff.
So let's see. How many creeps are missed, actually? Oh,
yeah,
oh boy.
Playing a lot of time here.
I don't know. I think OQ actually...
Forward.
I think OQ gets those two that just died there. He was really close. And he's almost level 2, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to actually make up for it. We'll see.
Yeah, the textbook late invade from TDK. We've seen them do it in game 2, and it happens again in game 3. But Apex seem to be getting the better of the situation. There's level 2 picked up. Xpecial was just tagged by the Winter's Bite, but they're pretty close as well. Keen finds some good damage onto Alex.
Curious what Alex will do in terms of leveling order as the game progresses. Most of the time, you see Quins go Q into E, but when I was looking at Nuke Duck playing at mid, he would max W second for the movement speed because it helps you chase people down during the combination. You get that initial auto attack, you are able to actually get back in range to use the vault and then the chase down again, and also gives you attack speed, so able to get some base stats out of that as opposed to a lower cooldown and slightly more damage on the vault, which is mainly ratio.
Yeah, for utility and for landing that area proc. Shrimp. He's going to see Kez over the wall. Blue buff seems to be the target. No smite for either of them. Flash used. Kez has got nowhere to go. This could be first blood. The auto attack is picked up. Keen gets it. That's first blood. Now Alex is in a bad spot to be. Chris just used his hook. Looks like Alex is going to get out.
And it is actually Warlord's Bloodlust for Alex, and that was weird for Kez to be up that far. Just the immediate collapse there, and you can see Keen has that blue buff. Oh, transferred over to him. So that's not even his own blue buff on his side of the map. So he'll actually be very happy picking up multiple blue buffs this game very early on with minimal pressure on him. And you're seeing here in the top side of the map where Police and Xpecial are, OQ has pressure on him for one of the first times in Challenger. We've been talking about how Police has actually been going toe-to-toe with him in CS. The laning phase hasn't been going OQ's way. It's been going Police's way more often than not here. But just that mid-game where OQ just seems to shine.
ESC Evers, old AD carry, looking for that confirmation that he is championship material.
Looking to see if he can actually qualify for Professional League here. Shrimp, though, coming around the corner. Might be able to get on the flares.
Just gets hooked and knocked up. He's got his flash available, but he's chunked so low. Oh, and gets out. Red buff is going to burn away for a little bit more on top of it.
Yep. Shrimp, he's going to be able to farm Krugs. Track the Maokai, though. Just a little bit.
Shrimp doesn't have a flash of his own, though.
Oh, stops the back.
Once again, just being a
nuisance. Just being mean.
Yeah.
And
this is what we saw from Shrimp in game number 1, that he was such a nuisance, not only in the lanes, but also in the jungle, invading, getting wards, trying to prevent Kez from getting off the ground.
It's hard to keep a Nidalee from getting off the ground. He is tied in CS, and Nidalee was countered. The kill went over to Keen in the mid lane, which is definitely what you don't want with an Azir at the game. Getting that early kill, basically pushing him into that mid game much sooner in those 2 items, yeah, it becomes a big problem.
Things seem to be pretty slow early on after that kill, as expected. They're the masters.
All right, there we go. Warlords.
Oh, it is Warlords.
Thunderlords for Thresh. And Thunderlords for Keen as well. So double Warlords.
Interesting. And Keen now getting blue buff once again.
Okay.
He is going to be having the time of his life on that Azir.
So Alex has a build that just allows him to lifesteal. He has 2 Doran's blades. He's sitting at 7% lifesteal, or sorry, 9% lifesteal with the 2 Dorans in the Masteries.
This was also what we saw in game number 1, right? When he was on Corki.
Yeah, which was a little confusing, where Thunderlords may just be the better choice. But against Azir, it seems like Alex just accepts that he's going to take poke and that he needs sustain to deal with it. But he sacrifices offensive power for that.
Chris farming it up in the bottom. You just saw Kez on the corner of your screen, was in the tri-bush, before heading back down. Not able to make anything happen with it, as, yeah, there's Keen as expected. Putting the harass down onto Alex. Can't quite follow up with more Sand Soldier damage because of that blind, but still doing a pretty good job. Chris, he's going to punish flares quite a bit. He's down to about 400 health. But here comes Kez. Chris, I don't think he saw him. Oh, he did. He had a ward.
His ward net.
Yeah. Keeps it safe. Turns around with a hook, though.
Yeah. As soon as he saw that Kez was going to go back to farming the Scuttle Crab, Shrimp immediately starts farming the top side of the jungle, so Kez doesn't really have any home to return to in the jungle right now. Just punishing him in terms of uptime, making sure that he can clean the entire jungle. Shrimp's going to pick up the Scuttle Crab as well, staying ahead of farm over a Nidalee. Maybe been able to hand off another blue buff to Keen. So Keen very happy in this mid lane up against Alex, who gets a drive-by heal.
The drive-by ambulance going for a quick heal. Shrimp actually on the invade is going to look for the blue buff, but once again, he's just buying time. Blue buff doing a little dance for us as he gets caught against the wall. That ward will see Kez, and Shrimp is level 6 with a stronger smite.
Oh, nope. It's not strong enough. Shrimp able to pick that up for himself and steal it away.
That's what I said. Shrimp is level 6.
Yeah.
With a stronger smite.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
Ooh, Alex does find some damage on the Keen. But Alex, wow. Keen answers back with quite a bit of damage on his own. Just abusing that long range so much, making it difficult for Alex to keep up in CS. I feel like I've hurt your feelings now. You've been quiet for so long.
No.
Is everything all right, Aiden?
Yeah, everything's fine, man.
Okay, all right.
Bring up more story, Dom.
Okay. Wow. I just realized Apex are almost 2,000 gold ahead.
Boom. There we go. Yeah, they have CS leads across the board, top, mid, and in the bottom, as well as Shrimp is just farming the jungle and taking CS away from Kez. So he doesn't really have too much of a gold income source right now. And we're seeing Keen actually rush straight towards that Nashers, whereas before he got the Stinger and then he started to have a little bit of a, you know, I'm going to go need this with Large Rod, I'm going to start picking up this other item first. See what he's able to accomplish with that Nashers when he gets that CDR.
Oh, Chris.
Flares.
Goes forward exactly as planned. He flashes, but Flares is still able to follow. Just a step faster is Kez, but Chris wants this fight. Here's Shrimp with double buff. Oh, not able to get the knock up in mid-pounce. Here comes Alex. It's roaming up there. Shrimp, that's the face of regret. Flashes forward. Will he be able to make it to this turret in time?
Yep, looks like he's going to be okay. This gives Keen some time in the mid lane, but of course, it's Quinn. Quinn gets back so quickly. He's not going to be able to pick up too much from that play. And Keen basically gets to just get a little bit of a CS advantage. And Alex misses out on just a little bit. And that's it. Whereas they go 1-1, still Apex in the lead.
So damage finds Trance as Special and Police shove in the bottom to answer, seeing all the pressure top. But it's now evened up in kills. And what was 2,000 gold is now down to 1,200 in favor of Apex. We're starting to see some minor advantages open for Apex just about everywhere. 13 CS for Chris, 15 for Shrimp, maybe 12 for Keen, and even Police.
Yep. That's rather unusual as well. We're seeing OQ not have too much of a CS lead. He was one of the most dominant laners back when he had Bishu as well. The follow there, Chris flashed, Flares already had used the Twisted Advance, and Chris wants to turn this around. Shrimp is arriving, but still eats the spear, gets chunked out, but Alex had already been roaming up the entire time, and that's one of the beauties.
Once again, action in the bottom lane. Culling finds Police, who happily tanks it for his support, but the damage is traded right back.
I don't know about happily. Yeah, well, actually, the word happily can also mean, or haply can also mean perchance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
H-A-P-L-Y?
Yeah. It's Shakespearean. Oh, this is happily a gank!
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's an actual gank. There's no chance about it. Chris running for the hills, but that hills have a turret. Flares looks like he follows them through, takes just a few too many turret hits.
It's the sequel to The Hills Have Eyes. The Hills Have Turrets! All over, and of course Callista, another reason that she's kind of banned is you never get to really smite, steal, contest it, but I guess Shrimp does get it at the 75 mark with his own. Just auto attack.
Needed one more auto, but
yep.
Wasn't able to secure it as Chris will farm it up. Oh, he got all of those.
Yeah. Hashtag Nautilus mechanics?
Yeah, I know.
Question mark at the end of it?
All right, so that's Dragon 1 for Apex, and oh, recall terminated. Bottom tier 1 did go down in the meanwhile.
Comes Alex.
Yeah, and they're now looking to dive this Nautilus. He doesn't stand too much of a chance, but Flares takes a few too many turret hits. Here comes Shrimp.
There's nothing he can really do about that. Keen not roaming. This is a great champion for Alex to play if he wants to influence the map. His Corki looked like how he wanted to play Quinn, where he's roaming to other parts of the map when you want to siege as Corki. Quinn, this is exactly what you want to do. Leave the lane. Stop fighting Keen and just go elsewhere. It's a great way to play this. But still not working out for them because Apex have almost a 2,000 gold lead here, and they almost have this mid-turret down as well, which would equate to even more falling into their hands and just more pressure because once you get that turret, you're able to just open up the map and having it be that central point. If Alex is able to actually get the Azir turret, that's huge. But it's going to take him a long time to do that. Flares walks up. He's tanking. He's tanking. This could have been Chris dying. And then Flares Twisted advances to drop the aggro. And that's why he doesn't die there. Takes that one extra shot.
Very minor mechanical play. Working out for TDK. Netting them that kill. 2 now onto Chris as he's been not having the best of times in that top lane as the CS evens back up in favor of, well, still Chris, but Flares is right there. There he goes. Now Chris is going to continue pushing forward. Alex trying to defend his mid lane, but here come 3 members of Apex. With the previous damage that Keen has done. The turret, oh, will go down, but Keen's too far forward.
Out.
Oh no, he goes too far, gets away from the lantern and knocked up. He's still alive though, somehow. Finally, he's gonna end up going down, but Police managed to kill Alex on the side. Oku joins the fight and gets knocked up. They've managed to kill Police, and now they're continuing to kite this out. Oku running for his life, and he's gonna be chased and caught by Special on the side. Another kill for Shrimp, and Apex turn it around.
Immediately getting onto Keen. That was the big turning point there. The way that fight started off was awful for Apex, and TDK, they get it turned around on them because they can't kill Keen. They don't take him down fast enough. And now it's going to be Rift Herald and Flares. Is he gonna check this? There's still a decent amount of embers there.
Oh, he's gonna try to... Oh, Shrimp gets it. There's a teleport now coming in from Alex. Chris is looking for it and finds the lantern while Shrimp tunnels to safety.
Wow, nice interrupt there from Shrimp with the Prey Seeker, but also the lantern from Special. We haven't seen Thresh in a good while. It's pretty much been Braum, Alistar back and forth. Some Janna woven in there.
Soraka, if your name is Immortals.
Adrian in particular. Right here, Keen. Flashing away from the lantern. He's knocked up. Kez gets knocked back. Wow, okay. Yeah, he's like right in the thick of it. And he just doesn't get taken down. I had to watch that in like super slow motion to figure out why he wasn't dying at those last few hits. It just looked like tiny knock-up, and then afterwards it was the Callista ulti to knock back Kez, stopping the execute. And they pick up OQ on the side as well. That's how Alex got it. Here comes Alex again to the top lane, where there's a Maokai, you have gank pressure, and he's gonna look for it.
Spear,
but no.
Zig Special. There's Shrimp using the Void Rush to catch up with the minions. Brings the Rift Herald buff with him.
This is quite interesting because Apex are up 4,000 gold despite Alex's pressure on this map. But he's up against this Azir, and he's been doing a great job. You can see there, 1,200 gold advantage for Keen and 1,100 for Police. The two big carries for TDK are way behind in gold. And in the jungle too, 1,100 for Shrimp.
Yeah, Shrimp going super deep on the flares to stall out the minion wave. He succeeds, buys enough time for Police to take the top tier 1. Chris is still defending in that bottom, though. If they could get someone down there to hold it, that would be humongous. But looks like they seem to be content to just let him defend it, as Keen is looking now to get into the jungle of TDK. And they could be going for the tier 2.
Yeah, it just looks like they're going to rotate to it. They have turret-taking ability here. Very easily, the wave clear from a Quinn, not very strong at all. Your wave clear is pretty much OQ. You could throw out the blinding assault, but you're really just wasting a skirmish ability and a huge part of Quinn's power budget.
TDK are able to hold on. They properly respect the push from Apex and don't end up losing a tier 2 off of it. And Chris is able to single-handedly hold down here using the Sunfire and Riptide to farm it out.
Just farm a whole wave with Sunfire. Just run in circles. Skip around. They're all dying.
So is Sunfire the beginner's introduction to Singed?
Actually.
Just run in circles around minion waves. Flares knows what I'm talking about. Oh,
yes, he does.
Ability there.
It's true.
All right, Keen's going to get his blue buff back in the mid lane. Dragon number 2 for Apex is back up in 20 seconds, but an untimely recall from the duo is going to leave this top tier 1 vulnerable. TDK take advantage of it, looking for their first turret of the game to answer the 3 of Apex.
And Apex have just been playing the macro game much better in terms of what they get after the skirmishes. Apex looking for the dragon now. It's about to spawn. And Fabio was talking about how Azir he thinks better now. Azir is much easier now in terms of pulling off drift moves, where you actually won't stop your drift until you make contact with or until the Q stops, the shifting sands. Or sorry, the shifting sands and then the, what is it, conquering sands. Lots of sands. So that when the conquering sand stops, that's when shifting sands is allowed to stop. So you can actually go over 2 walls like you were saying before. And you also cut tight corners. It's really nice.
Some very styling moves from Keen. We've seen him do a couple so far as he looks to be very proficient on the champion.
Yeah, no idea how he didn't die. And it will forever be a mystery until
you rewatch that replay.
Emotion, yes, exactly.
Forever until after this series.
Or maybe I just won't watch it again and I'll forget. And then it will be forever. The world may never know.
We'll put it in the highlight reel for you.
I will never know.
Keen continuing to farm it up in the mid lane. Oh, Alex looks for some action, and Keen just hops the wall nice and quick. But there's the rest of TDK. There goes the wall. Shrimp tries to buy some time. They get one kill. The hook on the far side, and Alex will get it with the red buff. Depth charge locks him down. He doesn't have hook quite yet, but Special does. Alex is caught and dies to police. That's 1 for 2.
Multiple hooks coming in there, and that Q from Alex to pick up Keen. 2 for 1 in favor of Apex, and Apex with almost a 5,000 gold lead now have pressure mid, and they have pressure bottom. They can start looking to put pressure onto 2 tier 2 turrets.
Yeah, looks like the bottom one is going to be the first priority, as they've already got a minion wave prepped and ready to go. Police spots OQ and Trance before backing off. Looks like they're not quite able to take that tier 2 just yet.
I actually wonder, just a random thought.
What's in a Wonder Ball?
So the way that Hurricane will interact with Braum Shield is if Braum Shield is...
All of the bolts do damage.
Yeah, all the bolts will be absorbed by the shield. Right, he'll take all of them. So if you're Cogmaw, he'll eat all of the on hits 3 times. If you're Callista, do you stack spears and hit 3 times as fast? I think you might.
Well, the bolt stack spears on secondary targets.
Yeah.
So is there a limit to 1 spear per champion per auto attack?
I don't know. You think we would code that in specifically? I think he would just absorb the attacks and you'd stack them 3 times as fast.
I mean, that seems like something that could come up during design.
Yeah.
Say, hey, do we want to allow this to happen?
I think what actually happens with the design is we go, do we want to allow this to not happen afterwards? We're like, this seems pretty bad. And then I'm just kidding. But look at that. Kez just annihilated. And Kez is one of the big parts of the composition. He was big in the previous game where he had Nidalee. And now Apex were able to draft some engage and actually take him out. You can see not just the Nautilus, but the fact that they also have the long range of Azir to contest the Nidalee. And then they also have the Callista ultimate, which just will basically throw him in and make sure that Nidalee has to run.
It really feels like Apex are so comfortable on these champions.
Yeah.
Rek'Sai, Azir, Callista, and Thresh. Look at the 4 of them now. They're just doing some serious work down the mid lane, zoning TDK away.
I also think it's impossible to be uncomfortable on Nautilus. The only thing you'd be uncomfortable with is doing so much damage while being so tanky. Like, this doesn't feel fair.
This is uncomfortable because I feel like I'm breaking rules. All right, the bottom tier 2, top tier 2 is now taking pressure. Full culling finds Chris, and he soaks it without batting an eye. The hook is going to go wide, but that tier 2 is not long for this world.
Here's the Quinn behind enemy lines for Alex. The wave clear, though. You have to get away from this turret. Keen will be able to take it very quickly or kill you afterwards. You can pick your poison at that point, with the 2 items coming through. It's so hard to reposition. Once he uses the Conquering Sands and he gets the slow on you, and the soldier auto attacks will continue to slow you with the Rylai's, he changes the landscape of the fight. You can't walk through any of his soldier zones unless you get slowed, and then you basically die because his DPS is really high.
Apex look for some action in the mid lane, but aren't able to make it happen. Now they're going to be collapsing onto Flares, who has teleport. There's the Void Rush. So he should be able to catch up. But Shrimp doesn't have any hard CC, so couldn't interrupt it. Here comes Chris. If they could try to collapse onto Flares, they might look to convert this into a kill. There goes the teleport. It's Alex joining the fight now. He's turning it around. There goes some damage, but Chris and Shrimp are so tanky. Alex is barely doing a thing. There's a depth charge. He finds the hook by threading the needle. Alex is caught and chunked to half, and Shrimp is continuing to fight forward with the rest of them. Glacial Fissure doesn't do anything but disengage.
And TDK were able to get around and actually get there a little bit earlier than Apex. And the members were trying to push forward. So Apex had to retreat. TDK able to reinforce the time. I didn't know if they would be able to, based on the position on the map. Looked like Police was way further ahead. It does look like he actually used his ultimate to try and engage and follow up the engage there. So Callista ulti on cooldown.
Dragon's up in 30 seconds. This is number 3 for Apex. Securing it early could mean as soon as a 36-minute Dragon 5. This is the first time we've seen them get this many Dragons in this series, as TDK have had dominant control over the past few. Blue buff is being secured, but Alex is on the other side of the map with no teleport.
So TDK they have a little bit of control over the left side, over the Baron. You can't really go for Dragon right now if you're Apex. That bottom turret is going to need somebody to answer Chris. So Flair's most likely to walk down there. TP on both top laners, and Alex is just shoving top. He doesn't have his TP either, so now they're just going to sacrifice this Dragon to Keen and Shrimp. Just 2 mana can be Azir. Yep. Able to pick it up, no problem.
Dragon number 3, Flares, is going to match Chris in that bottom lane. Does look like we've got an assist ping, as here come OQ and Trance along with Kez. Chris might have overstayed his welcome. There are a lot of slows of Maokai's getting. Ooh, Alex gets away. Just barely in the dark of vision, and Chris, he's running as quick as he can, but Flares is literally body blocking him. Alex got caught on the way out, though.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Forced a flash. Oh, the soldier catches him. Keen drops Alex.
Oh, the flash there from Alex. He's caught and really close to the Baron. So that's going to be Apex trying to stack up Callista Spears in this.
Doing a good job so far. Culling is going to find Special. He's going to tank it to buy time for the rest of his team. Chris has teleport. He gets pulled in as Police looks to fight and gets knocked out. He's way too far forward. Flash dodges some of the initial damage, but Flares locks him down. Now Baron has been secured by Apex, but they don't have their AD carry. They're running for their lives, but they're still going to lose another member.
That was really weird. They're just chasing down Chris now.
Oh, he's buying some time,
Flares
though.
outside.
Yeah, Flares will finally be able to lock him down long enough for OQ to get that kill. Kez is actually the one who secures it, but that's Baron for 2.
That is Baron going over for Apex for 2 members. They do still kill Alex right before as well. So 2 for 1 and Baron. Total trades there. Shrimp still trying to pick up his red. Oh!
Kez gets it. Titanic Hydra not working out for him that time.
Doesn't do 500 damage. Not that incredible.
All right, so Police is back up.
With
and
a lot of
so
thinking
is
to do.
Chris. Yeah, he had to sit in the corner for that one.
I'm really confused because he was stacking up so many spears inside of it. If he had thrown Xpecial out, Xpecial had just thrown himself at the team and maybe used Box, then he's able to slow people long enough. But having your Callista peel off of the Baron and nobody else peel off seems like just a mistake. Watch it again and see.
Well, Chris was on the way.
The difference was
He
there.
just happened to be 3
yes,
vital
but then
seconds.
everybody else sits in the pit right here, right? Special zoning, and then, okay, well, I guess we're going into everybody.
And there's Chris as Xpecial dies.
Yeah, if Kez had actually landed that spear, then Police would have died much faster. They would have been able to actually focus Xpecial, and that would have been 2 kills there. And possibly more pressure on the Baron, so it's hard to call how that would have gone if that spear had landed, but Kez missed the spear on the knocked up target. But they still get 2 kills for it. Yeah, that just seemed like too many resources, too many important resources at a time where they were needed. I definitely think Callista should stay on Baron at that point. Maybe if you're going to throw anybody, just throw Xpecial in. He can throw down the box and buy time. But being able to rend, it would have gone down much faster and you would have lost only 1 person.
Yeah, Baron's still up for about 75 seconds. Chris leads the charge with his team, and Apex take down the tier 3.
Yeah, I said their wave clear sucked before on TDK's side.
Still true now.
Yes, it didn't get any better. No static shift for OQ. He's basically just throwing out random abilities that he has and culling whenever he can clear a wave. But Alex, it's very difficult for a Quinn. You have to run right up into the minion wave, use behind enemy lines and dismount to do AoE damage, and then Q. And that's your wave clear. It works when you're in a solo scenario, but not when you're being sieged against.
Blue buff once again going back over to Keen. As everyone resets after that Baron buff. Looks like it is still up for... Nope, has fallen off. And now that's Dragon number 4 for Apex in 2 minutes. They've had momentum for most of this game. As Shrimp looks to steal away this red. Oh no! Oh! Missed it by that much.
Yeah, not quite. Not quite. Actually unlucky.
Down to 25. Well, that's just math.
Uncalculated. See,
Miscalculated?
Every time I would, every time I would, you know, make an arithmetic error, be like, you did the math wrong. Unlucky.
Unlucky.
Unlucky. It's like, no, you messed up here.
No, that was
unlucky.
Unlucky.
My brain wasn't working at that moment. Unlucky.
We'll see if luck comes into this upcoming Dragon. It's 70 seconds away, and so far, Apex have got some pretty solid vision over that side of the map. Alex is trying to prep a wave in the bottom as Chris is on the opposite side. Police looks to go answer. This Dragon would be huge for Apex.
Yeah, TDK getting a Dragon 1 at this point in the game would be really big for them. And not only would they stop Dragon 4 coming through, they would get those stats, and at this point, they're worth a lot. You see Lord Dominic's regards for Alex, so he won't have as hard of a time with Shrimp and Chris. And now he's going to actually try to duel Chris. This actually can go in Quinn's favor.
Chris takes some damage, but follows himself to safety with a quick dredge line.
Alex inching forward on the minimap. Oh,
he actually stopped the recall for Chris. He's not going to be at full health unless he recalls now and teleports in. There he goes. Makes it to the tier 2. But they might give up this tier 1 as TDK are shoving forward.
Yeah, it just looks like Apex are trying to bait. See what happens. Hook comes out. Chris TP in the middle of the lane.
Oh, he's coming to flank from the far side. Flares looks to be the target. They're calling their shots as they put them down. That's one member going down, and the hook finds Trance. OQ doesn't get away. Kez is the one who eats it as Apex charge forward relentlessly. That's another kill, as Police is going to drop Kez. Trance on the far side will go down. That's a double kill for Police.
And they just can't get through the tanks here on TDK's side, so Apex are able to just roll through them. 3 for 0, and now they're just going to push down the base. 31 minutes in. They don't even need Dragon 4 at this point.
Oh, Chris needs to break turret aggro. He's taking so much damage, but I guess it's not going to count in the end as the inhibitor turret goes down, and the inhibitor, it's 5 feet 2 for another 20 seconds. They've got one minion wave. This is a greedy finish, but if Apex could do it, it'll put them back in the lead. Here comes Alex. He's trying to do some damage. The minions have been cleared, but they're trying to burn through the health of this last NACS turret. 5 seconds left on flares, but the turret has gone down. Alex can't do enough as Keen pulls it back in with the Azir slide. There it goes. They're on the Nexus. 5v1 as Flares is back up, but the Nexus goes down, and Apex are back in the lead.
And Apex, with a composition that has more durability and more damage, take game 3. And TDK, little glimpses of hope there, but you could see, even though sometimes they would be getting these kills, getting these skirmishes, they were still down in gold the entire time due to macro play. So Apex taking the win there. And they're one game away from getting that first round spot, or I guess first place spot, and winning Challenger.
And to follow up on that, the promo spot.
Yeah.
Again, if you win that game, you have 2 chances to get in. You have to win 1 best of 5, and then you're into the LCS, which would be huge for Apex. A lot of these players will be returning. For Police, it will be justification. This is very important for them to take this win, and now they've got the momentum back in their favor. Now they're back in the driver's seat, just like they were in the semis.
Yeah, and speaking about Police, he has been having really just a great day. He's been going toe-to-toe with OQ. He hasn't been getting rolled over or crushed by him, and OQ was an LCK AD carry player with a lot of hype around him. When he came over here, there was a lot of hype around TDK, and people really wanted to see what he was made of. Well, Police is making a case for himself. He does have some moments where you're like, maybe he could be a little more aggressive. Maybe he shouldn't be as aggressive with the Baron. But giving Callista over just seems like a mistake on top of a mistake. You ended up banning Trundle, giving over Nidalee, and you got Callista for Apex. So Apex are in a really good spot because they didn't first pick the Callista, and they just instead went for Nidalee again for TDK, even though Nidalee was a big part of how they won the previous game.
We've heard over and over again how Keen and Police are the 2 primary carries for this team. If these guys can do damage and not die in fights, then Apex are probably going to have a pretty good time. So the fact that we're able to see Keen getting back onto Azir, incredibly high damage, pretty high utility, Callista on that mobility and damage as well.
What's funny is we talk about all these damage dealers. The highest damage dealer for TDK was Maokai, and the highest damage dealer for Apex was Rek'Sai.
Well. There it is. Well, for a deeper dive into Apex's second win, let's send it over to Dash & Co. on the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, it makes sense that your highest damage dealer is Rek'Sai when Shrimp is the one playing Rek'Sai and going for that immediate Titanic Hydra following his jungle item.
Farm all day.
Farms all day. But the Maokai, that's definitely telling of how this game went for TDK, if that is your highest damage. I want to jump into the Champions-like conversation because a lot of what we talked about in the pregame was how these teams are going to adjust there. Ultimately, Apex went for that trade. They decided that the not Kalista was what they wanted in return for the Nidalee. However, Nidalee is a scary champion. So let's talk about the risk there in terms of handing that champion back over to Kez.
Sure. So on the one side, Nidalee is the #1 early game jungler, probably just #1 jungler, but like if she takes over, all those things fall away that you might have with your composition and you might just lose pressure, much like what happened in game 2. The trade for it was really cute. They got rid of the counter to Nautilus, which is Trundle, and the other good top laner, which is Poppy. Those are like the ones that everyone cares about, so that they could secure a Nautilus top lane. Right? That's power pick #1. Power pick #2 is that Nidalee. Power pick #3 is that Kalista. And that was the triumvirate. You always want to set up 3 as the red side, and that was a setup. And if Nidalee doesn't take over the game, well, then you got 2. They got not even 1 at that point. Congratulations, you won the beginning of the draft phase.
I still think the amount of risk incurred by the Nidalee was very dangerous because if we look at the way game 2 played out, Nidalee crushed the lanes of Apex, so to speak, and they were never able to recover. At least this game, they had a better fallback pattern because even if they did lose the laning phase, they would still have a Nautilus as their team fight. So in that sense, even though I would have gone about the champ select a little bit differently, I wanted the tank trade rather than giving them Nidalee because then you get rid of the risk of the Nidalee. They still had a fallback pattern, and they ended up beating the Nidalee.
Right.
So they had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, managed to cover their bases a little bit. Let's talk about the Nidalee play then. We have a replay of this first blood. I mean, and it goes to your point of Nidalee did not get off the ground in this game.
Yeah, so Kez goes for a very early aggressive play. He's trying to take Shrimp's blue buff because a lot of Rek'Sais don't path to blue this early in the jungle, but Shrimp calls him out on it. He guesses right. And then the critical fail jump over the wall means Kez has to flash away and then has no further escapes to get away from Keen. Big misplay after Shrimp made a good guess in the jungle to see him there, but when Nidalee doesn't take over the early laning phase and dies that early, it allows Shrimp to counter jungle him. It sets Kez to a point where he can no longer influence the lanes, and it almost wins the game for Apex off of that one play.
Yeah, and it wins the game if you play it right, which Shrimp did. He immediately, or very quickly, runs into the bottom jungle, takes almost all of that, sets up a gank in the bottom lane, gets Chris farther ahead now, so that's all good. And then Kez actually completely misplays it. Because Kez is, at this time, like Shrimp gank spot lane, reveals himself for a very long time, and Kez is in his western jungle, his blue buff area. That gets cleared, and then he walks into the jungle that just had Shrimp killing all his camps. Looks at Raptors, looks at Krugs, goes, oh, right, there's no jungle here, because Shrimp killed it all, when the top jungle had a full set of monsters, and Shrimp was still showing himself in the bot lane. So, Shrimp played it well, and then Kez also made a major mistake.
2 misplays in a row.
Catapulting the difference in the junglers.
So blunders at level 3, but that wasn't the only piece that had or that attributed to Apex's win. I want to go ahead and fast forward 14 minutes into the game. We're gonna find a 4 for 2 for Apex, and this was kind of the fight that was the closing moment in our heads for Apex is going to run away with this game.
Yeah, this is a super important battle overall. It's important to point out that even if TDK's catch is good, there's only 3. OQ's running from the far side down here, and they're also going to miss someone else in this fight at the beginning as well. So let's start the clip and just watch what happens here, because Keen's stuck in the front line, Braum Shield blocks the Azir, and they pile on to get that first kill. But Maokai's still out of range. Knock up from Thresh, knock up from Kalista passive, knock up from Flay, buys a lot of time so that Azir dies late, and the crowd is already still here. OQ has to overdive to get onto Police in the back line. 3-man Flay from the Thresh. And keep in mind, Shrimp is actually huge. Like, the beginning of the fight is actually a 2 for 1 in Apex's favor, and it keeps trading 1 for 1, and then, well, now it's a 3v2.
Yeah.
Your 2 biggest damage dealers of Nidalee and Quinn are dead, and Lucian is overextended to get 1 as well.
Yeah, when we were watching that fight live, we're just like, how did he stay alive? Like, how did it? But then you realize they had no damage dealers there to hit him, so of course he's going to sit there.
Yeah, OQ had to flash in, and then he was stuck with just a relentless pursuit out.
OQ was out in the beginning. Thresh hook lands on, I believe it was Nidalee. Then, again, Kalista throws in the Thresh to get a double knockup into another flight, into another hook, and it's actually 2 damage dealers only. or one damage dealer only for most of that fight, which is why he lived so long.
Yeah, and I think the straw that broke the camel's back, not only from that fight, was because going into it, the top lane for Apex had a 13 CS advantage, mid lane had a 10 CS advantage, bottom lane had a 12 CS advantage, and Shrimp had a 15 CS advantage over the supposedly hard farming Nidalee. So the game was already kind of out of control at that point, and that just made it completely impossible to come back from.
And all those CS advantages, in part, because of that early loss of pressure from the Nidalee and Shrimp's presence around the map.
And the trade of champions. Nautilus is supposed to beat Maokai. Kalista is supposed to win every single lane matchup as far as the champions that are getting picked. When Fabi was here, he was saying that Caitlyn and Jhin are good into Kalista at specific matchups.
Okay.
If
he was saying that Jin's teamfight presence, given the slows and the roots.
Jin's going to lock down a Kalista in a team fight. Caitlyn just pushes her on a turret.
Right.
And if these champions aren't showing up to counteract what's happening with the Kalista, then that Kalista, like, first round red side trade just gets to win lane forever.
Pick Kalista all day, baby. All right, well, Apex is one game away from taking the series and the title of Challenger Champions. We'll see if they can get it done with Game 4 against TDK right after this. Don't go anywhere.
The series is all tied up at 1-1. It's TDK versus Apex. Kez has got nowhere to go. This could be first blood. The auto attack is picked up. Keen gets it. Finally, he's going to end up going down, but Police managed to kill Alex on the side. Oku joins the fight and gets knocked up. They've managed to kill Police.
Fight. I got it.
Doesn't have hook quite yet, but X Special does. Alex is caught and dies to Police. That's 1 for 2. Kez is the one who eats it as Apex charge forward relentlessly. That's another kill.
And Apex, with a composition that has more durability and more damage, take Game 3.